Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. Today we are seeing another interesting topic called try with resources. Again, I can hear your mind voice like we have heard about try catch block, we have heard about try catch finally block. We also have heard about try finally. But what is this try with resources? Yeah, that's what going to be the agenda for today's topic and how we gonna use this in our framework. Okay, so we will see what is try catch finally blocks, what is the problem with the try catch finally blocks, again what is try with resources and how the try with resources helps us to solve the problems that we have with the conventional try catch finally blocks. Again, is there any prerequisite that I need to know before using try with resources? We'll see about that, and we'll also see how the exception handling mechanism of try with resources varies with your conventional try catch finally block. Again, this is an optional subject, so you may or you can skip it, but it's good to know all these things. Yeah, can we have multiple resources inside try with resources? Again, you may not understand what is this now, but you will get at the end of the video, right? So what is the change that happened in Java 9 for try with resources? It is also an optional subject. We'll see about that. But most importantly, please remember this try with resources have been in Java since 1.7. So and there is a little change happened in 1.9. We will see what are those things in detail. Okay, now let's get into the video. So what I have a runner class where I have a static method and a method, there is a private static void read Excel data, and I'm calling this method from my main method. Okay, so before we will understand, we have used some Excel utilities in our framework, right? So if you notice, we have marked a placeholder here. Okay, we need to add try with resources. It's been pending for a long time now, so we I thought, okay, why not we will cover this now. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are creating an input stream object. Okay, and then we are connecting to the workbook, we are getting the sheet, we are iterating through the sheet, storing everything in a list of map, all the entries in a Excel sheet in a list of map. And we are also at the finally block, we are doing some null checks, and then we are closing the connection. Okay, so this is mandatory, right? You are creating a connection, okay, input stream connection here, and whether there is an exception occurring in this case or not, you need to close the connection. That's how a normal way of working, right? You make a JDBC connection, you are doing some operation, you get some exception. Okay, we use this finally block to close all these things, right? That's what we are doing here. Okay, again, let me explain this is the simple example. Let me go here. Okay, understand how our method stack works, and then to explain that, I have a paint here. Okay, so what I have done, so this is how a method stack or your thread stack look. Okay, if you don't know what is thread is a sequence of operation that's being executed, right? So suppose if we go to our class, we understand that the program starts here. Okay, it execute the first line, then it execute this line, then it execute this line, right? The same. So all these things are a sequential operation by which JVM executes these whole commands, right? So this is called as the method stack. Okay, so the thread knows which method to call first. Okay, it knows first it needs to call this. Again, if there is a if this read Excel data is calling another method, suppose say there is a method called a, it is calling another method. Okay, so in that case, okay, now the the call from read Excel data will move, it will call the a. Okay, so how the method, the thread stack will look like. Okay, this is a stack. Okay, which means whatever the method, this is a main method, so it's at the bottom. Okay, next I'm trying to call a read Excel data, so it will be here. From read Excel data, I'm calling another method called a. Okay, so this will call this. Okay, this is the sequence of way how your whole program executes. Okay, so what happens? Okay, so why I drawn this in a shape of a triangle. Okay, if you notice, okay, we can draw like this. Okay, and then we have main method, you have a read Excel data, and then we have a method. The reason why I have done this is way, suppose you are calling this a method does the job, and then what happens? Okay, it gives the control back to the read Excel data. Okay, that's what will happen, right? So it does some operations, and then the control ends, and then it gives the control back to read Excel data. Now read Excel data doing all the operation, and once it done with all the task, it will return the control back to the read Excel data, which is a method that calls this, right? So that's what is happening. So first, once this is done, okay, this is the last in, right? This is the last in will be the first out. Once this guy is done, this guy will be removed from the thread stack. Okay, so that's why I written this in a form of triangle. It's because we used to play the game, right? We used to put a lot of rings here. Okay, so you can only take the last ring if you can take these two out. Okay, that's why this is works in the principle of last in first out or first in last out. Okay, once this a gives the control back to read excel data. Now the read excel data do all this operation and then it will be removed at last. This main method will execute all the commands it needs to do, and then it will return the control back to the jvm. So this is what happening at the back end. So this is a thread stack. Okay, how the methods are arranged in the thread stack. Why I am explaining all these things, you will understand in a little while. Okay, now what happens? Okay, I'm trying to call this read excel data, and let me try to read from an excel sheet. Okay, I'm not going to write a full code, but a simple code to understand. Okay, file input stream. Okay, and you can pass the file name, but here I am not passing any file name. Okay, now it is asking me to do two things: either handle the exception or throw it add throw the declaration. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, it means, okay, if the a method is facing some some execute some exception. Okay, if it have the capability to handle it, okay, it should handle it. Otherwise it needs to give it back to the read excel data. So you can imagine this like, suppose you have your team manager. Okay, you have your team manager, and then you have your test lead. Okay, test lead, uh, test lead. Then also you have your fresher, okay, who joined the project very recently. Okay, now this guy you know test lead allocated some work to this fresher. What this guy done, he has done something wrong in the prod server. So what happened, he is trying to manage all the things, but this guy is not capable of handling the escalation and stuff. So what this guy will do, he will return this whole thing back to the test lead, right? So that's what happened. So now the a method does not know what to do. So it transfers all the exception back to read excel data and asking it to handle. Now the test lead will check if it is in his level to handle this. If it is not in his level, he will further delegates the exception back to the team manager to handle. Even if the team manager not able to do, it will simply navigate delegate back to the jvm or your your senior team manager, someone. Okay, so this is what it happens. Okay, if it is something that it can handle, it should handle. Otherwise it should need to propagate to the method which calls this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to surround this with try catch block. So now what I'm doing, okay, I'm handling this myself. Okay, so now I have created an input stream connection, and then I'm writing some code to read from excel. This is all good. I'm writing some code to read from excel, but there is a problem. Okay, I'm doing all these things, but if there is some exception happening in this code, okay, some exception happening after I created an input stream connection, there is an exception happening while I read the value from excel sheet. So what will happen, we are catching the exception, but the thing is we are not closing the stream connection that we made before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a finally block which will get executed. Okay, even if there is an exception in try block, or if there is no exception in the try block, so this will be executed always. That's why we have finally block, right? So here what I'm doing, if file input stream dot close. Okay, again this is local to this try block. So what I can do, I can just simply move this out of the try block and do like this. Now if you notice, it is also while closing also the input stream can throw the exception. So that's why it's asking either you throw it or surround with the try catch block. Now I am surrounding with try catch block. So if you notice, we have written a very simple logic to read a file from excel, but this is causing so much of try, and then catch, and then we have finally, in the finally again we have try, and then we have catch again. My sonar alert is telling check, do a null check before doing all these things. Okay, so there are so many try and catch finally blocks which makes my code little clumsy. So what java developers have done, they came up with an idea, to close the streams automatically, so that you don't have to write this finally block. Okay, that's what we're going to implement now. So what is the thing they suggested us? Okay, they asked us to open and close this like this, and then pass the thing that you want to close automatically. Suppose I want to close this file input stream automatically, okay, when it exits the try block. Okay, now I am removing this thing, I don't need this anymore. Good. Now you don't even need to have this finally block. Okay, what will happens, okay, show some error. Okay, add throws declaration, or okay, I need to add for the IO exception, that's okay. If you notice, I didn't write any finally block here. Okay, this is the important thing that we need to notice. I have added the parameter here so that I don't have to write the finally block. What happens, okay, it will try to create a file input stream connection. Okay, if there is some exception here, okay, even though there is some exception here, it doesn't matter. Okay, what happens, okay, it while exiting this try block, okay, we have this try block, right? While exiting in that try block, it will close the exception. So that's the thing what this try with resources will do. Okay, we don't have to manually write finally block to close the stream connection. Okay, now there comes another question, when can I use this? Okay, you can only use this, okay, if your class if your class implements an interface called auto closable. Okay, auto closable, I think. Okay, closable. So your input, the class what you are having needs to extend implement this auto closable. So if I go inside this, okay, this file input stream, okay, is extending input stream. Okay, I go into input stream. If you notice, this input stream is implementing the closable. Okay, then I can use try with resources for this input stream class. You can also have your own custom class implements this closable interface. This has just one method called closable. Okay, even if I go here inside this, it just have only one method called close. Okay, so you just need to implement this and provide your own logic. Okay, we are not going there because we are not going to use that. It's out of scope for this particular lecture. But you can go and explore more on how to create your own custom class and implement this auto closable, how to use this. Okay, but for now we will restrict ourselves from just using this whatever the thing that we have learned. Okay, the advantage of try with resources is you don't have to write the finally block yourself. That is something that I need to tell. Okay, um, if you know about the exception handling mechanism. Okay, the thing that we have previously, again guys, whatever I have taught till now is what important. Whatever I'm going to teach now is an optional, but it's good to have. Okay, so if you think my videos are little slow, please change the playback settings to 1.5 or 2, so that you don't feel any slowness, guys. Now we will see the how the exception handling mechanism of exception handling mechanism. Okay, so now I'll revert to the old code. Okay, so maybe I'll do all this is control Z. Uh, this is the old code that we have previously. Okay, now what I'm going to do in this old code, how the exception will work. Okay, if you notice, I am creating an input stream connection here. Okay, consider there is some exception called some null pointer, or maybe input output exception while reading from the Excel sheet. It's happening. What happens, we are catching that, that's fine, and then we are suppressing or printing the stack trace, that's absolutely fine. But what happens, okay, there is some while closing the resource there is an issue. What happens, while closing the file input stream seems to be null. So there is a null pointer exception. Then whatever the exception that happened here is suppressed, and whatever the thing that happened here is now propagated back to the calling method. Okay, what is the problem here? The problem here is the exception that we are interested is this, because we want to solve the issue only we know that there is some problem with our input output exception. Okay, some while there is a problem while reading Excel, not because while I closing the stream. Okay, maybe this will work if this is working. Okay, so the actual try catch finally block is propagating the exception which I am not interested at all. So there is a problem here. Again guys, this may look little tricky to you. It's okay, you're just watching it for the first time. Okay, it's completely all right, you can ignore this, that's absolutely fine. But try to understand this is what will happen. But if you have your try with resources, what happens even if there is an exception here, or if there is no exception, okay, your input stream will be automatically closed, and whatever, if there is an exception, the exception which we are interested will be propagated to the method stack, the method, the caller method. Okay, so that's the advantage of using try with resources. Okay, now let's go and alter our excel utils class to accommodate this try with resource. If you notice, we have this particular thing, the same like what we have seen here. Okay, so we're gonna do the change now. Okay, what I have to do, I just need to add a parameter and just copy this whole thing, paste it here, and you have to do the entire declaration here itself. Okay, that's the key thing that you need to remember. This is for version that less than 1.9. Okay, and between like 1.7 and 1.8. From 1.9 you can do the entire declaration above. Okay, you can do the entire declaration here, and then you can just pass the reference variable here. Okay, this is only applicable if you have 1.9. See, it's also telling variable resource not allowed here for source level below 9. Okay, this is only allowed if it is 1.9 or above. Okay, for that, either your finally, the input stream should be final, or it should be relatively final, which means it should be declared only once. Okay, so it should not reassign the values and other stuff, but that's for another day. But for now, just understand, we need to pass it like this. Once you do this, you don't need to have all these things. Okay, just remove all these things. Okay, now there is a problem, it seems. Okay, there is a thing. We are closing this here. Okay, we are closing this here, and then we're opening this here. Okay, maybe I'll remove this whole thing. Okay, and then we'll again. Okay, it's all good now, and it's not throwing any error. Syntax block expected after this token. Okay, just give me a minute, guys, we are doing something wrong. Sorry guys, I missed to add brackets here. So if you notice, this is a method, right? So I missed to add one brackets because there is a bracket here as well. So this okay. So what I can do, I can either throw the declaration, or I can add catch clause to the surrounding try. Now if you notice, we don't have the finally block to be written anymore. Now the code looks much clean than before, and it does a lot of good job, like proper way of exception handling, which you even don't need to understand, but still it works for you the way, well. So add return statement, I think I have removed this. Okay, now everything looks fine, right? So the same way, we also have one more class where we are using try catch block for doing all these operations. Let me open the property utils where we are doing all these things. Okay, if you notice, here also, while reading the property file, we are connecting to the input stream and reading the property file and other stuff. So the same way, okay, you can move this whole thing, okay, inside that. Okay, it's all good. And there is the only change that you need to do, because here even actually I haven't coded the finally block. That's a bad from my side. I should have closed this properly. Since I haven't done, that's okay, because we have to anyways remove it. But if you're using a conventional way of try catch finally, please do the proper closure of your input stream connections. Okay, that's a very good practice that you need to do. Now we have done all these things, right? Again, so just one update, like it's not mandatory that you have to use only one parameter here. Okay, if you notice, if you are having two values, okay, suppose I have one file input stream, then I also have one more buffered input stream. Suppose say I have some buffered input stream. Okay, some bf is something like this, equal to new buffered input stream. Okay, you can do all these things. Okay, so you can tell file. Okay, so by this way, what happens, you can also have two of your resources closing automatically. Otherwise, you need to have a finally black which needs to close both these resources. Okay, now with the help of try with resources construct, you don't have to do these things. Okay, that's the very good advantage of using your try with resources. Again, there are certain intricacies, like your buffered input stream will be closed first than this. Okay, there are certain intricacies, but you don't have to really know about it, because it works in favor of you, so you don't have to worry about all those things. Okay, so I think we have done good changes now. Our code looks much clean. Okay, so that's all I have to share for today, guys. We'll see in another interesting topic. Thanks all for listening to me. If you guys like the channel, please do subscribe for it. Thank you.